the running joke is that I can have a conversation with a CEO and then turn around and have a conversation with someone that may not have a job or no desire to have a job, and I can impact them, kind of in the same way, or our conversations be just as meaningful to me. Whether or not you make $100,000 a year or you're living on assistance. We're gonna have the same conversation. I'm gonna treat you the same too.
Welcome to Reaching Out. I'm your host, Zack Carter. Please join me as I speak with a diverse group of people to find out their thoughts on religion, politics, and culture. Hey everybody, welcome to Reaching Out with Zack Carter. This week I am speaking with the illustrious Kelli Lemon, and I'm really excited to begin diving into this week's topic. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, you're doing great?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
We're sitting in what will be your future coffee shop. So this is a cool spot. I'm excited for
you get the behind the scenes of everything fresh and new, and in about 3 or 4 months it's all going to come to life.
It already looks ready to go. You can open tomorrow.
Just dust off a couple more chairs and plug some stuff in.
Of course. So if you could do me a favor before we really begin to dive in, could you tell my viewers that may not have heard of you, who you are, what you do, a little bit about yourself? Yeah,
my name is Kelli Lemon, originally from Tidewater, Virginia, but kind of was raised in Hanover, but I live Richmond. And I am a self-proclaimed social entrepreneur, which I'm trying to find a new word for, because when I first started calling myself a social entrepreneur, nobody was using that word. And now you see it a lot, but you see it for social change, social justice, social, fight the power. Okay. I am social.
You're social.
Let's have fun. Okay. Anything that we do, everything that I do has to have a fun and happy element to it. So that's what I mean by a social entrepreneur. I want to socially connect people through food, sports, arts, and education, and I believe that those 4 elements can kind of get anybody talking and create conversations, and those conversations create business. Cool. I am an on-air personality for Radio 1 Richmond. I do part-time nights and weekends for KISS FM and iPower 92.1. And I host a weekly podcast that is on a little bit of a break right now called Coffee with Strangers. And I do that with Matt Pachilli, who is the producer and co-owner with me. And then I also run my own business. It's called Like the Fruit. So I do some speaking, I host events, I coordinate events throughout the city under Like the Fruit. And I am also 1/3 owner of Virginia Black Restaurant Experience, that is changing the way we look at Black-owned caterers, chefs, and just the culinary arts in general.
All right, and then the last thing, as we had mentioned a second ago, is that you're also going to be starting a coffee house coming up here soon. What's the kind of the purpose behind that? What was the thought?
Kind of going back to, I want to socially connect people, and to be honest, it really happened all organically. I kicked off the 2017 Creative Morning Speaker Series, and my topic was mystery. And when I spoke, it was all about, I didn't know what I was going to do next. And somebody said, well, Kelli, you got to have an idea. You got to, everybody knows that you're going to have a plan, And I said, that's true. And I said, I would love to kind of open up this urban hang suite where people could kind of chill, get some coffee, get a sandwich, salad, Buddha bowl, get some grab and go, make it all loyal to local Virginia products only. But the main thing is that there's a place where you can talk to somebody, whether it be something that's happening on TV, you're sitting there listening to music, or, just a casual conversation. Oh, how you doing? And it leads to this conversation. So, I ended up meeting with Kendra Feather. I don't know if you know who she is, but she is a heavy hitter in the Richmond restaurant industry. She owns Empanema, Laura Lee's, the Roosevelt, and Garnett's, both at the Valentine in the Fan. I mean, she has 6 restaurants. And so she was at that creative morning and literally called me that same week and said, I need you to come see something.
Yeah.
And little did I know I'd be walking into 304 East Broad Street. Matt Bosserman owns this building. He was on 40 Under 40 with me when we made it for Style Weekly. So he didn't know I was coming. I didn't know what I was walking into. But again, organically, it hit. When I walked in here, I said, this is it. When he saw me, he was like, you're it. And Code VA is next door. Theater Lab is in the basement. 10 units upstairs plus. I don't even want to get into the redevelopment of downtown and what this area is about to become.
Yeah.
So social cafe in the front, when you walk in the doors, it's all grab and go. You know, you can order all your food there. And then behind these walls will be the Urban Hang Suite where you can come and sit down and chill for a little bit, whether before you go to work or after work or in between meetings. If you just need, you're at home and you need a place to kind of just get away, you can come in here.
Okay, so cafe in the front, party in the back. So it's like a culinary mullet. So.
Basically, basically.
That's exactly, you can take that. You can take that.
Please.
And brand your coffee shop with a culinary mullet.
That's recorded, right? You said I could take it, But yeah, and I think that the dopest thing about this location is I'm on the Jackson Ward side. If you know anything about downtown Richmond, back in the day, unfortunately, one side of the street's whites only, the other side of the street's black only. So I am on the black only side of the street. Like Maggie Walker used to do things in these buildings, you know, and so it does kind of give me the chills to know that I can open up something on the side of the street where we belonged, and you know, I can kind of help my community out as well.
That's great. That's great. So kind of the thread that kind of runs through all the stuff you do is a passion for Richmond. It seems like. Where did that passion come from?
Probably back in 1992 when my parents told me or asked me, could we move to Richmond? They worked up here. They were commuting from Yorktown to Richmond every day.
Yeah.
So you think about that, that's about an hour when you look at traffic.
Okay.
It's not that bad. People do it, but you know, they kind of were like, Kelly, can we please move to Richmond? I was popular at the school I went to. I'm cheerleader, SGA, I mean, everything. And, you know, to ask somebody the end of their sophomore year, will they move? You know, most would have said no. Or wouldn't have been given the chance or the opportunity to make that call. And I really thought I was coming to Richmond. And all the things that I knew about Richmond was, ooh, crime. Ooh, it's the big city. Ooh, I'm thinking I'm coming to the big city. And we pull up to this, you know, country house in Hanover County. And I'm like, what is this? This
is not what I was promised.
This was not what I was promised. But I learned Broad Street, Parham, and Midlothian Turnpike. That's all I needed. And once I learned how to navigate those 3 streets, I saw Richmond in this whole other way. I also cheered for Atlee High School. And I was the only black cheerleader. And if you know anything about Hanover County schools back in the 90s, I mean, I'm the 3rd class out of Atlee High School. It was a brand new high school. So when we would come play Armstrong and Kennedy and, you know, Verona and Holland Springs, Henrico, like I would just see all these black people come out of nowhere. And again, I come from a place where it was a big melting pot because it was military. You know, Tidewater is very military. So it was nothing for me to run up on somebody and say, hey. And so I don't think that was normal for those traveling to these schools from Atlee, you know. So when I would get off the bus, I'd be like, yes, we're here, you know, like almost had to remember not to cheer for the other team, you know, like we are here. And you could just see people's attitudes change because I think for the most part, the other cheerleaders and even the teams were scared because of where we were going. But I was like, hey y'all, what's up? Where y'all going later? How can I find you? And I started to really make friends in the city.
That's cool.
I also, again, telling my age, worked at the Foot Locker at Virginia Center Commons, and it just opened.
Yeah.
You know, like, so VCC was the mall. That was the
yeah.
jumping mall. And so again, people were coming to get sneakers, and I met a lot of people because I worked there, and they're like, wait a minute, you're the little girl that cheers for Atlee. You're the little black little girl that cheers for Atlee. Yeah. And so again, I started to meet people, and as I'm going out, and as I'm, you know, kind of still believing in this city and in the not only the history, but the government, and just, we are the capital of the state of Virginia. I just really just kind of started to fall in love with it. And I think that move up here, although to Hanover, completely changed my life. I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't go ahead and say yes to my parents for
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't know you were black when I brought you in, so I don't know where to go from this interview now. I wasn't told this information, so no. So when we had actually first met for coffee and hung out, and you were super nice to meet with me and to give me a lot of advice on the podcast, since you've already been doing Coffee with Strangers for a few years now. You had said that you were interested in this topic of RVA versus Richmond. Yeah. And when you kind of described it to me, I thought it was a very interesting topic to begin diving into. So I'd love to really begin fleshing that out, figuring out what that means. So how do you define RVA? How do you define Richmond? What is the difference?
RVA is the brand.
Okay.
I mean, it's really that simple. VCU, in my opinion, did a good job of recruiting diverse students that decided that they were okay with this city. And because they were okay with what they saw on the outskirts of being right here at VCU, they decided not only to stay, but to either, get their, start their careers here, start their families here. And that slowly changed the dynamic of, what Richmond was starting to look like.
You're saying the brand of Richmond. So Richmond is the city, RVA is the brand of Richmond.
Is the brand of Richmond, yeah. Okay. And when I say that, it's to me, it's very obvious that RVA gets the spotlight, in my opinion. But when you look at Richmond, we still got a long way to go. And when I say Richmond versus RVA, in my opinion, RVA is that urban, that social, that craft beers, great restaurants, River City, that's winning all these awards. But Richmond is still a place that, unfortunately, the mindset hasn't grown as the city has grown. And some people have been left behind in the growth and the explanation of it. And we are still struggling with affordable housing. We're still struggling with poverty when it comes to food deserts. We're still struggling with public transportation. We got a new school superintendent. Hopefully things will change and be on the up and up. And I think that sometimes Richmond is ignored because RVA looks so good. It's shiny. RVA is shiny. We're one of the top 5 places to live for hipsters.
That's amazing. Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
We're the 25th best city for job growth, but 41st out of 49 largest reasons for transit accessibility to jobs. I mean, this stuff is documented from the Capital Region Collaborative. You can see this stuff. One of the country's 10 hottest housing markets. One third of RVA households spend 30% or more of their income on housing. There's just stats for days. And I just wonder whether or not we are going to go back and get Richmond and bring them into RVA.
So, real quick, let's expand a little bit on the problems that you have that you were mentioning. For those people that may not know what a food desert is, what does that mean?
It means that there is no access to quality produce, meats, breads within a certain radius.
Yeah, so you might have a McDonald's, but you don't have something where it's like, I can go get healthy food.
You may have a McDonald's, a liquor store, and then repeat it.
Yeah.
Within the same block.
Yeah.
And so nowhere where a child, if your mom says, hey, can you run to the store and grab me some tomatoes and some onions because I'm going to cook spaghetti. You have to get on the bus or, find the bus route, get on the bus, go get your groceries, haul all that back on the bus, and then come back. I mean, and we're literally talking about areas that, unfortunately are where a large black and lower income population lives. Some of the courts, some of the areas in the East End and over South Side. Downtown, you can look at that a little bit, but there's not a lot of residents downtown that aren't moving and grooving and commuting and doing what they need to do. So maybe not downtown, more as the East End and South Side.
Okay, and so what's the problems with the public transportation?
Well, whether or not the bus comes to your area.
Yeah.
That we can start there.
Yeah.
Then number two is how long it takes for you to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why the Rapid Pulse was even created. It will get you from Willalon. The Rapid Pulse. So you wonder why there's all this traffic on Broad Street and all this construction on Broad Street? GRTC is putting in what they're calling the Rapid Pulse. It will get you from Willalon to Rockets Landing in 21 minutes, all coming down Broad Street and then tipping over.
Okay.
Where it used to take 37 minutes. So it's just the timing. So take, for example, if you, and one of my girlfriends actually looked at this, she was trying to get from the South Side to the North Side. Yeah. And with the transfers and planning her route, it would take 3 hours from where she was going to where she needed to be. So just think about if I don't have a car, but I have children and I have to be to work and I live in South Side and I have to go to work in the East End and I have to depend on public transportation, how many more hours I have to add on to my day to get to point A, from point A to point B. Yeah. So.
And I know I've discussed a few topics with people as far as with like gentrification. Do you think that is also included in Richmond being left behind, or do you think some people I've read some things where people have argued gentrification is actually a good thing. So where do you fall on that? How do you define gentrification?
It's a gift and a curse. It's definitely a gift and a curse. Take me, for example, I bought my house over North Side, drug-infested area, in 2000. So I've been there 17 years now. And my neighbor across the street has probably been there 40 years. And I have another neighbor that we recently talked, she's been there 20 years, and another one across the street, they've probably been there 30 years. But the houses right beside me have all been renovated and now sold for maybe 5 times what we paid our houses for. Paid our houses. But anyway, paid for our houses, what I'm trying to say. In saying that, taxes and personal property value, all of that rises. Now, for me, for what I paid for my house, woohoo!
Your house just went up.
My house just went up tremendously. I bought a HUD home, so I didn't pay anything for it. And to know that all I have to do is throw a little bit of money into it, get it fixed up, and I can be at this level. But when I think about my neighbor across the street that probably worked that good factory job or for Philip Morris for years, he has saved up his money, he is comfortable, but any slight increase could hurt him.
His taxes go up.
Because they're on a fixed income. And he doesn't have any kids to give it to. So, if you can't pay those taxes, or if you grow out of the market, or if your house starts to, kind of look bad and you don't have the money to fix it up to keep up with everybody around you, then that's what makes me sad. Is that we're not keeping it within our community. People are quick to buy that $50,000 house, then put $100,000 in it, and then sell it for $400,000. So the neighborhood changes as we've cleaned up the area. New people are coming in, and I get excited. I am excited, but then I just watch my neighbors, not be excited about it, and just wonder, whether or not, they're being pushed out. And, I think that's the sad part.
Okay, sure.
About it.
So from what it sounds like, it's almost like if you're younger, this is a good opportunity for you, because as these neighborhoods improve, there's more opportunities for better jobs, because better coffee shops are coming in, better businesses are coming in, because they're not afraid of like drug dealing and stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But then you have older people that are starting to be pushed out because they can no longer afford it because of taxes and such, because the property values went up.
And it's actually been a cycle where certain communities own those communities, and then they couldn't take care of them. Another class comes in, builds it up, and then they're like, no, we don't want to live here. We'll move back out to the counties. Yeah. And then, the lower class comes back in, and, they can afford these houses again. So from what I'm hearing, it's kind of a cycle.
Okay.
Churchill started out one way and then got, very another way, and then now it's going back, to not being affordable again. And what I've also been, kind of told about the way that the city is changing, and Mayor Stoney said this, 8.1 people are moving to the city every day.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of people.
And although Richmond is big, that's still a lot of people that we're trying to pack into,
confined space,
the city corridor.
Property values go up. Yeah.
Yep.
Demand rises.
And and people are investing back into Richmond public schools too. So if you got those 4 great schools, everybody's trying to move into that one area
where the good schools are.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Fair enough. I have a curiosity. I was thinking about this today when we get back to the RVA versus Richmond concept. Where do you and your brand fall into this RVA versus Richmond? Because I know when we talked in the coffee shop, you were saying even restaurants like Mama J's, which is run by Black people, it was owned and operated and started by Black people, but now it's become part of the culture. Like everybody loves Mama J's. If you want good Southern cooking, you go to Mama J's. If you want some soul food. So you were like, you said at the time that would fall into RVA, that wouldn't fall into Richmond. So you and your
Mama
brand,
J's restaurant is RVA. Velma Johnson is Richmond.
The owner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the physical person, she is Richmond. But the concept and the brand is RVA.
Okay.
It started in 2009. So like literally right when we were almost coming into a recession and also right at the time where I think the brand of RVA started to explode. That's the time where these restaurants were starting to open up, these breweries are starting to open up. You're seeing a lot more festivals every weekend. I think that's when things changed, and that's why I say the brand is RVA. Also because of the recognition that it has gotten nationally. It's one of the few restaurants that you travel to come see because you've read about it somewhere, that doesn't have a trained chef. She's a cook. When you ask her, she's like, I'm a cook. I cook for large crowds, and that's how I kind of got into this. And so I think that kind of sets Mama J's apart. And I really think that Lester, and when I was there creating or envisioning the brand, although we are proud of the ownership and the fact that it's in Jackson Ward, which was the Harlem of the South, that is where most of the some of the richest Blacks in the nation came from. So I think that although that is still part of the story, we never wanted you to just think of Mama J's as a Black restaurant. Like it was more than a restaurant to me.
I agree.
It's an institution of feeling good and family and comfort and all of those things intertwined. So to kind of go back to your question, I'm technically not even from Richmond. And so I say I'm from RVA. But I live Richmond. And I get a pass from Richmonders to go ahead and claim the city. Because I promote, and I do feel like I can enjoy the best of both worlds. The running joke is that I can have a conversation with a CEO and then turn around and have a conversation with someone that may not have a job or no desire to have a job. And I can impact them you know, kind of in the same way, or our conversations be just as meaningful to me.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not you make, you know, $100,000 a year or you're living on assistance.
Yep.
We're going to have the same conversation. I'm going to treat you the same too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, interesting. Okay. So, but you would say that even Coffee with Strangers, you would say that would fall into both worlds, your podcast, or would you say
that's RVA?
That's RVA.
Yeah, no, that's RVA.
She reluctantly says.
And you know, because of the way we structure the show, we structure the show to have people talk about their experiences, where they eat, where they go on the weekends. If you were inviting people into town, what things you would show them. And again, that just goes back to the brand of RVA.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, when you invite your buddies in, y'all not going to Gilpin Court. You know, like you're not, hey, let me show y'all Gilpin Court. Let me just show y'all this part of Richmond.
Yeah.
That's not what you're doing. You know, and that's not what travelers are doing, or that's not why people are coming to visit the city or moving into the city. But it's a part of the city. I mean, it's right over 95. I mean, it's right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that Coffee with Strangers is RVA.
Is RVA?
Yeah.
There you go. So to me, it seems like, looking on the outside in, overall, the RVA movement is a good thing.
Yeah.
So are you against the movement, or do you just, or is what you're saying is more of just a critique about the RVA movement? It's like, I prefer that it's happening, but here are the problems that it's causing.
I think that my opinion is it is a great thing, but let's not forget.
Okay.
You know, and I think that one thing that we are now starting to do is tell both sides of the story, and that, especially with history. If anybody knows anything about Richmond, it's deep in the history. And I think that one of the things I want to make sure in the storytelling is that we are telling both sides of the story. You know, again, and I'll use him as an example. Matt Bosserman, who owns the building that we're in, knows everything about this building. He knows all the past people. He can tell, you know, he has photos. I mean, he's done his research. You know, he may be RVA, but when he placed his building here, he made sure he knew the roots of Richmond and why, and that was kind of important to me too, you know, for him to rattle off all of these things that he didn't have to know, but he took the time to do the research on it so he could be able to tell the story.
Sure.
And I think that is one of the things that, as RVA grows, let's not forget to tell those stories of how far we've come and who were those people that put Richmond on their back and got us to this level that we can, you know, really be proud of. You know, there's a lot of people that are from Richmond that have left that still do not believe that they should come back to this city.
Yeah.
That this city has not changed. It is still 1988, crime infested.
Yeah.
It's still Richmond.
Yeah.
And it just takes coming back and visiting, you know, and letting somebody show you a different Richmond. And again, they will never forget, but look at it now.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I never liked coming into Richmond because I grew up in Midlothian, which is about 30 minutes south of Richmond for those that don't know. And you have to pay the toll road to get over here. I'm like, I'm not paying $2 to go into Richmond. And all I would really go to is Carytown. Like that was it. Like I would check out Carytown, but then I joined the Life Church, which planted in Richmond. They started in Richmond. And as I began to hang out with people and hang out in the city and go to the restaurants and go to the events and all these things, Richmond took on a new life. And I had kind of missed, I went to school out in Nashville and I loved the city life. And I kind of missed it when I moved back to Midlothian because it's a suburb. You're not going to get that city feel. And so as I was a part of that church, I was able to kind of scratch that itch a little bit for the city. Yeah. So I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you kind of hit it, you know, right on the head. You don't cross the river. Some South Side people.
Yeah.
What?
You don't cross the river.
Cross the river? You don't come, like, people still have that mentality of, not only do you not cross the river, but you don't go downtown.
Yeah.
You know, like, ooh, scary downtown. Yeah. And I just wish they would. Like, it is a totally different place down here. Again, the streets that I learned, Broad Street, Midlothian, and Parham. And this is not Broad Street anymore. You know, like, even now you ride down and all of the vacant buildings at least have something up that's saying that there's something happening, whether it be construction or permit or something. I mean, you can go from Churchill all the way to probably, I would say maybe the Boulevard, maybe go past the Boulevard and get all the way, I don't want to go as far as Perham, but maybe Willow Lawn or Staples Mill, and you can kind of see that, whoa, they're really building, that area up, because we want people to come to the convention center. We want them to utilize the downtown hotel. So that's a big push for Richmond Region tourism as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if someone is like, wow, this is a really interesting topic, this RVA versus Richmond, where can they go to research this a little bit? Because even when I typed it in before the interview to kind of prep for it a little bit, there wasn't a ton of stuff that was on it. So,
well, the Capital Region Collaborative, who is
what is that?
They are a group in Richmond that is producing information. So they will go do the research and give you the stats on various topics. They have been working with the Valentine Museum and I, as we're doing this project, as you know, called Controversy History. And so they're providing all the data. They give you all the takeaway. So when we did the redistricting and women's voting rights, they were the ones that went out or already had all the information in Virginia about those topics. And they have it on a variety of things. And they're able to offer that information, not only to, for educational purposes, but also it helps with the stats as we're trying to figure out how we're growing and what we're doing. It definitely ties everything together. And that's where I got a lot of my really, really good stats about a tale of two RVAs or a tale of two cities, Richmond versus RVA. I will say that there are some people, I don't think that they're ready to announce it yet, that are doing a more in-depth Richmond versus RVA project. And I feel like they'll roll that out probably next year. If there's a lot of people that are working on some things, and there was a recent Richmond Times-Dispatch article. I apologize that I can't tell you exactly who wrote it, but you should be able to Google A Tale of Two Cities when it comes to Richmond, and he broke it down, just in the terms of, again, there's a lot of people that may work in Richmond, and you can take the interstate and drive right into your garage, go up your elevator, sit in your corner office and look at your great view of downtown, and you get back in your car, in the garage, back on the interstate, and back to the counties. And you never see what's going on around you. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more question, but I'm gonna wait. OJ, did you have any questions or any thoughts? No? You didn't? Okay. So let's just finish up with some, before we dive into the bonus interview section. Let's give some final thoughts to people that maybe live in the suburbs or live outside of Richmond. What is your sales pitch like? I know one of your questions on your show is give me your 15-second.
What is Richmond?
Sound bite for your elevator pitch is what you call it.
Yeah.
So give us your elevator pitch to encourage people from the suburbs or from outside of Richmond to come in.
Okay. Richmond is rooted in history and culture, but is continuously changing in ideas, methods, creativity. Richmond is a arts city that an entrepreneur is born every day in this city. Richmond is a small town with a big city feel that you can get so comfortable in that you forget that you're in the capital of Virginia. You can live in Richmond and experience so many other things because you can get to the mountains, you can get to the beach, you can get to New York. I mean, you can get anywhere you want to because of where we're placed in Central Virginia.
We're 2 hours away from everything.
Everything. Richmond is continuously growing, but slow enough that we're not going to get overwhelmed by the growth. And in order to live truly in Richmond, you have to be open-minded and ready to talk to anybody and get ready to experience anything that might happen. And I truly believe that is the new culture of RVA.
There you go. That's awesome. That's the way to end a major interview.
Yeah.
Great. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's start the bonus interview. We'll have a little fun, and then we'll get you on your way. I know you're a busy woman. You run 20,000 businesses, so we'll get you on your way. So I just came up with this question off the top of my head. I didn't steal it from nobody.
Okay.
Last 5 restaurants you went to in Richmond. I definitely didn't steal that from
You
your
didn't steal
show.
that from nobody, huh?
Definitely not.
Oh
Didn't steal that.
gosh. Okay, the last 5. The last 5. Oh my gosh. Okay. Brewers.
Okay.
I'm counting that. Jackson's Beer Garden.
Okay.
Boulevard Burger and Fries. I'm counting. I went to Soul Ice. They have a brick and mortar shop, and Malcolm, who runs RVA Street Foodies, made me the most amazing steak and cheese ever. And then, I mean, I have to throw them in there because. No, I'll throw them. Yeah, Vagabond. Which is a part of Mama J's now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
Vagabond is now owned by Mama J's and the Sullivan's Lady Nolan's group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do another question that I definitely didn't steal. So, do you think you'll ever leave Richmond?
I will always have a place in Richmond. So, to be honest, no. But will I go other places? Yes. My permanent address will always be in Richmond.
Okay.
But part of what I want to do with the Urban Hang Suite is that, it'll have its identity in Richmond, but I'm from Hampton.
Yeah.
So I want to open up one in Hampton.
Oh, sure.
I went to UVA. There needs to be one in Charlottesville.
Okay.
And so what that means, I don't know. And I do like to travel, but I ain't nothing like coming home.
Yeah.
And feeling like it's home. I can do New York, LA, Chicago, Charlotte, Atlanta for probably 2 days, and that's it.
Then you're out.
And then I gotta get back to things that are very comfortable to me. And because I know this city is changing, why would I leave?
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to have a statue somewhere, coming after Maggie, I just am. And people ask me, Kelly, are you going to get into politics? I got too much scandal. I don't want, nah, I'm not getting into politics, nah. Or I'll have to release all my scandal before I run. But, politics is nothing that I want to get into, but do I want to still have a voice? And do I want to still be able to call my delegate, my senator, my mayor, and, voice my opinions or the opinions of those that are not heard? Yeah, I want to be able to do that.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Well, I won't steal any more of your questions. I just figured it'd be fun to start the first couple with questions you asked on the show. Yeah. So, what is something or someone you miss most from your childhood, and why?
Something or someone
that you miss most from your childhood, and why?
Ooh. All right. This may be cliche and simple, but I wish I took advantage of nap time. Bring those back in adult life. Why can't we have naps at 2:00? What do they call siestas, right? Isn't that what most Latino countries do?
Siesta.
Yeah,
why doesn't America have siesta?
Why not?
I agree.
And what I've learned is, even if I have 15 minutes, I'm gonna get that nap. I'm gonna get that nap. Yeah. So if I could bring back nap time to adulthood, I would do that.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So before I ask the next question, this could be really great or it could be really depressing. So
oh gosh.
I'm just going to ask a pre-question before I ask this to determine if I'm going to ask this question. So how was your relationship with your parents growing up? Pretty good relationship?
Extremely good.
Okay, cool. Then we'll just, all right.
Extremely good.
So worst punishment and why did you get punished? It could go really dark if she didn't have a good relationship. So that's why I wanted to make sure.
So my mom was the person that handed out the punishments.
Okay.
My dad, I could give him that.
That's
so I'm
amazing,
giving a
yeah.
look. So
Just give the look, yeah.
and he'd be like, "Oh gosh, she's just an angel. You just cannot do anything." Like I never got a spanking for him. Like he would cry when I cried, like that kind of dad, right?
Yeah.
So, Lord have mercy. I don't know why. Two big ones that I got in. I told my dad that I was going to see Godfather 3.
When you were how old?
This is when I don't know when it came out. So I had to be like maybe 14, 15.
You were going to see Godfather?
Yeah, Godfather 3. Yeah, 3 now. So you know that those were 3-hour movies. So it got you, gave you time.
Yeah.
So, but I had already seen it.
Yeah.
So my mom knew I had already seen it. Mm-hmm. I told my dad I was going to see it.
Yeah.
And so I knew I was good. And we were meeting up these guys at the skating rink. And so my parents get to talking and they're like, "Yeah, Kelly went to go see Godfather 3. Gosh, that's kind of," and mom was like, "She already saw that." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And so I got on a month's punishment.
A month's punishment?
A month's punishment.
Wait, so why did you lie?
Because we wanted to go to the skating rink. And we were going, let me add this, we were going to the midnight showing. Yeah, so I had from 7 until like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to kind of, stay out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Didn't work out.
It didn't work.
Oh,
it
gotcha.
didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work.
You were punished for a month.
A month.
Wow.
A month. And my girlfriend that went with me, like, got the phone taken away for like a day. And then,
I got punished
for a month.
So what does punishment look for you? Because I know as a kid, my parents tried spankings for a bit, but they found that if they took the TV away from us, that it was game over.
Yeah,
like,
no
we'll do
TV,
whatever you say.
No TV, no phone, no nothing. No nothing. And
I much prefer the spanking over that.
Give it to me, let me help you. What's this stick?
This
stick looks great. Yeah.
This isn't big enough. Actually, let's grab the bigger one. We'll do this one.
I need real tears. But no, that, and then I also got in trouble for lying. It was a very simple lie. My mom asked me, did I brush my teeth, and I didn't. And it was a real simple lie.
Yeah.
And that was horrible. And it really made me think about lying.
Yeah, I'm sure you definitely
that taught me a good lesson. Yeah.
That's great.
Did you brush your teeth? Why do you lie about something like that? Just go brush your teeth.
That's amazing. All right, so since you're an interviewer, what are the best questions to ask to get to know someone? What are your go-to questions?
I think starting off with where you're from, leads into, you can tell how a person is raised, their beliefs and all, all of those things. So, starting off with, where are you from or where were you raised at?
Yeah.
Where were you raised? And then, that usually ends up with a follow-up question and a follow-up question and a follow-up question. I think what I learned early is that I had to make my questions open-ended.
Oh yeah, totally.
My worst interviews have been my friends because my open-ended questions had the answer.
Yeah, they already knew you knew.
Yeah.
So they didn't give you,
They didn't give me a good response because I kind of answered their question in my question.
Yeah.
So I think, like kind of where you're from, and some of the standards that if your boys were coming to town, what would you do with them?
Yeah.
On a weekend.
Yeah.
You had all day Saturday to show them something. What would you show them?
What would you do?
And then that gets into interesting conversation that gives me a leeway to something else.
Cool.
But I think that any question that can provide me with 3 or 4 questions afterwards are the ones
There you go. Okay. Well, the introverts thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
So last question, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay.
So do you look like you work out? Do you work out? The person that gets in the gym? You get in the gym?
Is that something else that we can bring back from our childhood? The fact that they're not lying when they say the weight does not. It's hard to get it off. It is, and I still feel, like I said, I'm about to be 42 in January, and you can't tell me I'm not 20. VCU did that. Like, it kept me young. I thought I was 21 every year.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, I still kind of lived that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it disconnected me a little bit from my friends because they didn't understand me. We wouldn't talk about the same things. but now, like, I'm starting to feel it. When I get up, my knees are starting to make noise, and that same suit that I wore 4 years ago, I can't fit. And I'm like, oh, because it's a 0. You don't wear a 0 anymore. But in my mind, this body's still a 0. So again, no, I don't work out. But one of my, and I don't want to say 2018 goals, because I don't set goals. I don't do that, because I think that's the number one way you don't keep them. Yeah. But mind, body, and spirit. Yeah. That has to be a priority and a focus. And I do have my bouts with depression, and one of the things that my therapist tells me all the time is, Kelli, just take a 5-minute walk. It just lowers your stress level. That 30 minutes of daily exercise, getting your heart beating fast, really can work wonders in a whole bunch of different ways. Yeah. And so as someone is encouraging me to do that, I gotta encourage myself. I gotta get back out there, even if I take a walk around this block. It's a full block. So I definitely need to do more things. I want to get into yoga and meditating. A lot of my friends, are doing that. My ADD does not allow me to sit there for 5 minutes and be quiet. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean? And then I hear something outside. So no, I don't exercise, but it is a challenge that I want to conquer.
Okay, well, that was actually the lead up to the next question. Okay. And you dove into it a little bit more than I thought. And you just brushed over the depression thing, like it's,
you know what? And I think I brushed over it because it is so a part of my life. And and when I first started talking about it, I said it so casually. Yeah. I mean, it came out my mouth so easy. Yeah. And I didn't even think about how it would come across to people and help people. Yeah. As well. And it was a simple thing when Robin Williams died. And I just went in on Facebook. And I was just like, you don't understand. And like, my timeline went off, my inbox went off. I had close to 500 comments, and that's crazy on Facebook. Over 1,000, to 2,000, unique hits on that. Yeah. Maybe 10 to 15 people in my inbox. Yeah. Just like, wow, not you, not the person that stands in the Siegel Center in front of thousands of people, every day with no problems. Yeah. But going back to Robin Williams, though, we are those people that, unfortunately, you don't know that it's coming from, but we're the ones that have it. Those very social people that can turn it on and turn it off. Yeah. A little bit. But thank God for my therapist. Been seeing him since I think 2010. Yeah. And I think that mental illness is a disease, and people need to, kind of own it and get some help for it. Same way you get help for any other disease, get some help for it. Yeah. And very taboo in the Black community. Really? Oh, Jesus fixes everything. Yeah. You don't pay anybody a copay. Like, I know she won't hear this. My grandma, oh no. And then you talk about the fact that you go see it there. Don't tell our business. That's our business. Yeah. And again, it's been touchy, but mine's hereditary, and I know where it comes from, and I'm in control.
That's amazing. Yeah, because people would see you because you are a public figure in Richmond, and you're very seemingly successable. And I know in my life there've been struggles I've had that it's when I came out with it, that's when the healing did begin. Yeah. And there's certain things that I'll tell people, like, this is what I struggle with, and it just doesn't affect me as much as it initially did, because that first time you tell somebody is crazy tough. But once you do that, it's like, this is how it is, and it's part of therapy,
I just never knew what the secret was. Yeah. Like, I was like, why is this such a secret? Yeah. Like, even going to my therapist's office, I know that they hate me. Not the therapist, but the patients. Because I walk in, good morning, everybody's good, good morning. And I mean, you just see because they're in there for different reasons. It might be somebody going through a divorce, or somebody is really having a hard time. Yeah. And this ball of sunshine walks in like, hey, everybody's doing okay today? Yeah. Like, why is she here? And then I go back there and I deal with what I need to deal with. Yeah. And then I come back out still smiling. Yeah. I might have tissue, stuck to my face, but again, I let it out, and now I can be happy again and move on. And that is really one thing that's big about me is if I'm not having fun, or if I don't have a bit of happiness about something, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it. And I'm not doing anything that I don't love anymore when it comes to, work and family and friends. If I don't love it, I'm going to be very honest. I'm not coming, I'm not going, I'm not doing it.
So what would you say to people that are struggling with depression that can relate to you? What's your advice to them?
Go seek some help. Please. I work for myself, so that copay is deep. What I pay to go see a therapist is pretty deep. Yeah. When I worked for VCU, I probably would have went every day because my insurance was so good. Yeah. It is just, it's not your friends, it's not your family. It is somebody that is a trained professional, that is that unbiased ear to listen to you and give you the guidance that you need to go through your day. And so my biggest advice is to stop being afraid of what you think people are going to think of you, and take care of yourself and go seek whatever help you need to make yourself better. I will never forget the nights that I would leave a party or a huge event, and from the time I got in my car until I fell asleep, I cried the whole time. Like I'll never and that took up way too much of my life. And as soon as I got the help, it all kind of went away. And I am very much into making sure that I can tell young girls and also young guys, just go get the help. Yeah. Guidance counselor, if you're pastor, whoever, if you just go talk to somebody. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, great. Well, I'm happy to end there. If you're happy to end there.
Yeah, I hate to end so down. So
well, I mean, we can ask. I can finish asking the question I was gonna ask.
Okay.
Because you seem to like to finish it. Because what I was leading for is for the do you work out is that I'm in the gym. I try to go 4 or 5 times a week, and I see attractive females, and I don't know what to go up and ask them. I get nervous, and so I know, Kelly, you don't mind going and talking to anybody. So what do I do? How do I go and talk to? This isn't for my audience. This is for me. How do I talk to attractive females?
So I feel like your best start is the treadmill.
Okay, so
or
go
anything that is that's moving, that will place you beside her, but not awkwardly you're intentionally trying to get beside her.
Yeah, so if she's on one treadmill, don't do the one right beside her. Do 2 down or
so say there's one treadmill and then the one beside her is empty. Yeah. But then all of these other ones on this side are empty too. Yeah. I'm not saying that you can't get to that one, but don't make it seem like you meant to be right there beside her. You're just or focus yourself on a TV. Yeah. Because that there's a TV near the treadmills or the elliptical ones or whatever, and then there's going to be something that pops up on that TV. Okay. That can jumpstart that conversation.
Hey, there you go.
That's what I feel. Food, sports, arts, or education. Yeah. One of those 4 things is going to pop up on that TV, and you're going to be like, can you believe this? Start it off like that. Do you see this? And then she may take her earbuds out.
That's the moment you have to.
Yeah, and then start talking, and then you just gotta.
Then you're in at that moment.
Yeah, but before you start talking to her, make sure you have 2 questions ready.
All right, just any 2 questions.
Any 2 questions. Yeah.
Okay.
So that first, because she may say yes to that first question. Yeah. And put them back in. Put her earbuds back in. If you get to question number 2, she may just stay there for the next 30 minutes and talk to you. And you've helped her because you've helped her get through that workout.
There you go. That's beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
So are you
but don't approach her as she's going into the locker room or getting that drink of water. Okay. Because I think that's that time where we feel the worst. If you get me in motion and I'm not sweaty and looking crazy in your face and we're talking while I'm in motion, I think that is going to be a better look for you.
That's beautiful. I'm glad I asked you this.
Yeah. Not at the weights, not at the ball. You have to be moving, and there has to be a TV.
Moving a TV. I got it. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna keep it forever. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know how that works out.
I'll let you know. I'll email you.
Okay.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us today at Reaching Out with Zack Carter. Thank you, Kelly, for spending some time with us, and we can't wait to see you guys next week at the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Well, we're coming to a close, but I wanted to take a second to thank Kelli for coming on, as well as let you know how to follow her on social media. You can look her up at Like the Fruit on Instagram and Twitter, and find her at Like the Fruit RVA on Facebook. Definitely check out her show Coffee with Strangers. It's awesome. You can find it on YouTube or iTunes. And if you're in the Richmond area, be on the lookout for her social cafe opening up this year. If you are looking for ways to support Reaching Out with Zack Carter, head over to our Facebook page and click the like button. You can share it with your friends as well. Also, head over to YouTube and iTunes and subscribe. You can rate us and leave comments so everyone will know how great we are. Thanks for listening to Reaching Out with Zack Carter. I'm Zack Carter, and we'll see you next week.